I screwed up. I made a mistake, and I would like to apologize. In a previous video about Iansan power creeping Bennett's attack buff, I, for some reason, thought that Pyro Resonance was only plus 20% attack. It turns out it's actually plus 25% attack. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot to be getting all up in arms about plus 5% attack, but on, let's say, Moika, 5% of her base attack running Wolf's Gravestone is just short of 50 attack. And it turns out that actually does make a huge difference. What I said in that video was, under the premise that Pyro Resonance was only plus 20% attack, the threshold for even a Pyro character, or basically any 5-star, any character really, in a team where Bennett would fulfill Pyro Resonance, whereas Iansan would not, the threshold before you start getting more attack from Iansan's buffs than Bennett's buffs was 900 and just a little over 30 base attack. Plugging this new information being, well, not new information, plugging in this correction with an additional 5% attack on Bennett's side actually raises the base attack threshold to around about 1,050. 1,050, for reference, is very, very high. It actually clears Arlecchino with, C0R1 Arlecchino, or in my case, Arlecchino with Jadewing Spear. You would actually need to be running, for some inexplicable reason, Calamity Queller on Arlecchino in order to start getting more attack from Iansan than with Bennett. In a similar case, with Moika, you would need to be running Song of Broken Pines in order to start getting more attack from Iansan than with Bennett. And so in that regard, in the grand scheme of things, Bennett does have this niche where he can provide more of an attack buff for Pyro characters than at least Iansan can for these Pyro characters. So that part of the video was completely wrong, as it turns out. The rest of the video, though, was not. At the end of the day, now that I have actually gone ahead and crowned Bennett's skill, or rather Bennett's ult, to have the almost maximum power of Bennett, I have left him at level 80 because it turns out the base attack increase from level 80 to level 90 is a whopping 13, which means through his ult the difference in additional attack is a whopping 18, which is what we call in the industry basically nothing. I am still doing a lot more damage with Moika running Iansan on the Moika Vape team, as opposed to running Bennett on the Moika Vape team. 2.5% more damage, which is definitely a lot more than what that plus 18 attack is ever going to provide. And so that part of the video remains true. Iansan is still cooking Bennett, at least for, I guess, any significantly powerful attack scaling character that can also obviously make use of Iansan's C6. Yeah, Moika is going to prefer Iansan over Bennett any day, and of course that's going to be the case for Skirk if you're not running Escoffier. It's going to be the case for Arlecchino if you're able to make it work, which is not that difficult. Chlorand, also not that difficult. Navia, I argue, is not that difficult either. So there we go. Obviously though, for those characters, the alternative being Bennett is still there. The difference in damage is 2%. So, you know, if you, for whatever reason, can't handle Iansan's movement requirements, you can always use Bennett. It is what it is. At least now he's a character, so he does start to get some of my recommendation right there. So let me know what you think about all of that, I guess. But at the end of the day, Iansan is very, very strong, especially with Symphonist of Sense. My position on getting that weapon for her remains the same, no matter what. It's just that it turns out Bennett is better than I thought he was, simply because I don't know where I got 20% from. I really don't know where I got that number from, but it's 25%, so that's a record that definitely needs to be corrected. Alright, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this mea culpa. Obviously, don't rely on me for math, apparently. Or I guess don't rely on me for reading, apparently. You know, don't take everything I say as Bible. Feel free to check all of the math, because evidently there is a very non-zero chance that I will get something wrong. Especially when it comes to something that sounds very, you know, sounds like something that's like a community consensus almost. Like, for example, the community consensus that in a taser team with Neuvillette, Fischl is necessarily better than Miko, and yet I'm not 100% sure, but I did recently find out, as of today, that Fischl is at least a lot better in these taser teams than I thought she would be, because it turns out that Neuvillette can actually react with the electrocharge aura, which in turn actually makes Undone Beast Sinful Hex actually work in these teams, which does mean that Fischl is a lot better than I thought she was. So that's another thing. But I have seen GC Sims that have told me that Fischl is better than Miko, but then I've also seen GC Sims that have told me that Miko is better than Fischl, so I don't know what to think about that. Anyway, let me know what you think about all of that in the comments below. Otherwise, hope you guys enjoy this. If you like this video, hit that like button, feel free to subscribe, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Everybody stand back! Light up the blazing sun! Incinerate! Try and stop! Let me light it up! I'm going in! I still wish you death.